engaging in this performative process at a time when serious questions are being asked about the utility of the UN, its funding, and use of resources is shameful. This council should not be used in this way. This council must hold itself to a higher standard. Meanwhile, we've had our negotiators on the ground trying to hammer out a real agreement to get hostages released, get a ceasefire, and provide humanitarian assistance. Finally, the United States will never stop working to free all the hostages, including the remains of 4 Americans murdered by Hamas, who have now been held in squalid conditions for 607 days. They will not be left behind. Thank you.
I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S 2025/353 please raise their hand? Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 14 votes in favor, 1 vote against, 0 abstention. The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
President, I would like to respond to a disturbing comment made by a member. And I just want to reiterate that Israel has a right to defend itself. And it has taken numerous measures to limit harm to civilians and address humanitarian needs. The loss of civilian life in Gaza is tragic. We all mourn this. But the responsibility for this rests with Hamas, which could stop the fighting today by freeing the hostages and agreeing to the ceasefire terms already accepted by Israel. The U.S. opposition to this resolution should come as no surprise. It is unacceptable for what it does say. It is unacceptable for what it does not say. And it is unacceptable for the manner in which it has been advanced. The United States has been clear. We would not support any measure that fails to condemn Hamas and does not call for Hamas to disarm and leave Gaza. We cannot allow the Security Council to reward Hamas's intransigence. After all, it was Hamas who started this brutal conflict on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Hamas has sustained it ever since in a manner that threatens Israel's security and prolongs Palestinian anguish. It is Hamas that continues to threaten Israelis and puts Palestinian civilians in Gaza in harm's way every day, using them as human shields. They have brutally suppressed those brave enough to challenge its despotic rule. It is inexplicable that many members of this council still refuse to acknowledge that Hamas could end this conflict tomorrow by surrendering and laying down its arms. It is unconscionable that the UN still has not labeled and sanctioned Hamas as a terrorist organization. In addition to refusing once again to condemn Hamas for the cowardly and evil acts that set this brutal conflict into motion, this resolution contains other serious defects. The United States has taken the very clear position since this conflict began that Israel has a right to defend itself, which includes defeating Hamas and ensuring they are never again in a position to threaten Israel. In this regard, any product that undermines our close ally Israel's security is a non-starter. This resolution would undermine diplomatic efforts to reach a ceasefire that reflects the realities on the ground and emboldens Hamas. This resolution also draws false equivalence between Israel and Hamas, which is both wrong and dangerous. This resolution seeks an, and I quote, immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire, close quote, that would leave Hamas in a position to carry out future October 7th attacks, as it has promised.
Israel is breaching the fundamental rules of international law, of basic humanity. The ICJ orders, in the case on genocide, the resolutions of the Security Council and of the General Assembly. Israel is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. Can the Council say anything about that? Can you say anything before acting? The E10 and the demands reflected in the resolution, one would have hoped that these minimal demands that are dictated by humanity, by legality, by morality, would have received unanimous support. But unfortunately, they were faced with a veto.
美国已多次否决安理会的停火要求，也正是由于美国对以色列的袒护，安理会通过的数份决议均没有得到有效落实。所谓安理会行动将干扰外交努力的说法完全站不住脚。只要是真正致力于和平的外交努力，安理会的行动只会提供强大助力。中方对今天的表决结果非常失望，美国再次滥用否决权，扼杀了加沙民众的一丝希望，继续无情地把200多万加沙民众置于黑暗之中，必须面对国际社会的拷问。人们不禁要问：公道正义何在？过去600多天，加沙5.4万多民众被夺去生命，以色列仍在持续升级对加沙的进攻和封锁，把加沙变成了人间炼狱。人们不禁要问：国际法治何在？以色列的行为突破了国际人道法的每一道红线，严重违反安理会和联大决议以及国际法院临时措施命令。但因为一个国家的袒护，违反国际法的行为至今无法得到制止和追责。人们不禁要问：安理会权威何在？今天的表决结果再次表明，安理会迟迟无法平息加沙战火，根本原因是美国一再执意阻挠。美国已多次否决安理会的停火要求，也正是由于美国对以色列的袒护，安理会通过的数份决议均没有得到有效落实。所谓安理会行动将干扰外交努力的说法完全站不住脚。只要是真正致力于和平的外交努力，安理会的行动只会提供强大助力。主席，国际社会追求公道正义，维护国际法治，捍卫安理会权威的努力不会停止。一个常任理事国的否决不能阻止实现和平的脚步。我们敦促美国正视作为安理会常任理事国的责任，放下政治算计，拿出公正负责任的态度，支持安理会采取一切必要行动。
In Gaza, more families made to mourn. They lure us in just to kill us there, this man says. What's happening is wrong, wrong. Why? Why are they doing this? We go there just to get our daily bread, and they kill us. In the pre-dawn hours of Sunday, masses of Palestinians began trekking down al-Rashid Street, hoping to be among the first to reach the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation site in Tal al-Sultan before limited aid supplies run dry. But as they reach the Al-Alam roundabout, a hail of gunfire forces people to the ground. Eyewitnesses say much of the gunfire came from tank-mounted machine guns. The Israeli military said they did not fire at civilians while they were near or within the aid site. But that statement is misleading. An Israeli military official acknowledged Israeli troops did fire toward people about 1 kilometer away from the aid site. The Al-Alam roundabout, where people were killed, is also about 1 kilometer away from the site. This entire area, with an Israeli military base right here, is under Israeli control. This post warns the Israeli military would be active in the area at the time of the shooting. It's from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which operates the aid site and closely coordinates with the IDF, alerting Palestinians that using the passage before 5 a.m. is prohibited. But they posted it at 4 a.m., as people were already being fired upon. Eyewitnesses described volleys of Israeli military gunfire from snipers, tanks, and drones beginning as early as 3 a.m. on Sunday. More were shot at 4:30 a.m. Others described being shot as late as 6:30 in the morning. At Nasser Hospital, fear and pain are still etched across the face of 13-year-old Yazid Musleh, who was wounded by gunfire from a tank his father and brother say was stationed near the aid site. 2 days later, despite the dangers, tens of thousands of Palestinians continued to stream towards that same aid site, a testament to the hunger and desperation still gripping so many. And once again, in the early hours of Tuesday, dozens were killed en route. This time, the Israeli military acknowledging it fired warning shots and then opened fire, claiming suspects advanced towards troops in a threatening manner.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。